Hey everybody, Steve here. Today we're doing a video, and it's almost 9 o'clock at night here. Just finished up revamping the hobby room, or rooms, and doing some remodeling. As you can see, the background is a little bit different than what it usually is. And so I'm going through this reorganization and cleaning up and throwing away stuff. I got a bunch of stuff in my trash, and that's the small trash can. That doesn't even count the big trash cans. I'm the guy that, you buy stuff and you keep all the little boxes. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the guy who buys the iPhone and they keep the box. I don't know why. I don't know why we do that. So anyway, I made a concerted effort to get rid of unused boxes, because in my mind it was like, there's going to be a time where you're going to need the box, but really, am I going to need this box? Am I going to need, this box? And am I ever going to put the thing that is actively being used on my desk or in the office or whatever? The box for the camera that we're looking at, I had that, and it was like, why do I have this box? As if I'm going to repackage said camera and items into the boxes and then move. If I move, I'm just going to get one big moving box. I'm just going to stuff all of this stuff in there, and I'm not going to put it back into the individual boxes. So, and again, kind of going back to the Marie Kondo, if it doesn't spark joy in your heart, get rid of it. Well, those little boxes don't spark any joy. And so, kind of going through and revamping the hobby rooms, and to get a different look. That's what it looks like now. So we've got the paint station there. This is for the brush. The other station is still going to be in the other hobby room, where we have the 3D printer, the resin printer, the wash and cure station, and all that stuff, the airbrush station. Because the airbrush station, I'll take miniatures in, and what I'll end up doing is kind of like doing the Deadpool guy. I'll prime him up and prime up my other miniatures. It doesn't take a lot of time. And then I'll come back to here, and what I'll end up doing is, in the comfort of air conditioning and so on and so forth, I will end up painting in more acceptable climate, because the other room doesn't have an air conditioner. And so, I was in there, I was doing some stuff, and I'm just like, damn, I'm sweating. What the hell's going on? Besides the fact that we're going through a heat wave here in Korea. So I put the little thermometer, clock thermometer thing in there, and it was like 83 degrees. And I'm like, no wonder it's sweating. So I said, that's it. My pile of shame. And for those of you who don't know what a pile of shame is, if you look back on the desk, there's a number of miniatures back there that, they're not getting painted. So I have a ton of stuff that needs painting. So, and part of the reason that I wasn't painting stuff is because it's been so hot here in Korea, and that room gets really hot, like I said, in the 80s, in the low 80s. And I think the highest, it was like 84, 85 degrees in there. And I was just like, painting. And I'm just like, screw this, I'm done. This room has air conditioning. So I moved the paint station over here, and I'll leave that room the way it is. And eventually we will get air conditioning put in there. So the plan is to still buy another apartment, a smaller one, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, instead of, the 4-bedroom, 2-bath that we have here. And then, that's what we'll end up doing. And then, of course, we'll rent this place out, but we definitely need to buy an air conditioner and have it installed in that room. All the other rooms have air conditioning. This room has an air conditioning, and matter of fact, if you look up there, that's the air conditioner. So that's how they do things here. Let's see if I can get this back to where it should be. There we go. So anyway, yeah, definitely need to get air conditioning in there. That's going to be a couple million watt at least, you know. So I think we're going to wait until it comes into. No, no, no. Okay, wait till it gets into, you know, maybe the fall when the temperature comes down and there's not a big demand for people doing air conditioning work, because we've had some record heat and humidity. Matter of fact, here in Korea, we have ended up having broken a 118-year record. So it's been hot during the day and hot during the night, and it's broke the record that was set in like 1904 for having hot, humid nights and hot days, and it's just like, yeah, it's been miserable. So, you know, even now, I think, where are we at right now? So it's like 9 o'clock at night, and what does the weather end up? It's got to be in the 80s. Yeah, it's 83 degrees, 83 degrees here, and the humidity's got to be in the 80s. That's what it's feeling like. Yeah, 82% humidity. So, yeah, and it gets even worse. So tomorrow, tomorrow's supposed to be hotter than today, and then there's a 35% chance of rain, which will make it even more humid. And we've been seeing humidity when it rains down here getting into 95, 97%, and it's like swimming. If you go walk outside, it's like a sauna and you're swimming. You know, you're breathing in water. So yeah, definitely need to get an air conditioner in that room. Some other things that are going on besides all this, I need to get a power converter. Which reminds me, somebody asked me, what do I think about the apartment that we're in? And the apartment that we got, we live in Brownstone in Pyeongtaek, well, actually Onjeongi, outside of Camp Humphreys. Brownstone is a pretty nice apartment complex, and it's nice. You know, our property taxes maybe $250 a year, bonus, compared to the, you know, $2,400 a year. There was a gentleman that I chatted with, and he sent me a message. He said that his property tax was $10,000 a year, and I'm just like, good Lord, that's insane. Other people have texted me and said that their property tax was, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 a year, and it keeps going up. You know, $150, $75 every year. Where I was at, in a small southern Colorado town, it ends up that our property tax was going up like clockwork, at least $100 per year. So if you do the math and you say, okay, well, I'm 54 years old, and by the time I retire at age 67, you do the math and you figure out, yeah, my property tax is going to be insane. And you look at the history of all your expenses going up, it's just like, yeah, it was a no-brainer to retire overseas. So, yeah, with that, definitely doing more hobby stuff, and going to be doing more painting and doing some more videos. In case you didn't know, I have a YouTube channel, which is, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you know I have a YouTube channel. But if you're watching this on Facebook, it ends up that, yeah, where is my channel? Because I want to show you all the channel. And take a look at this. How are we going to do this? 3, 2, 1, boom! And there is the YouTube channel. So, yeah, you can see I'm doing the live stream right now, live video. But yeah, we've got that going on. Got some old stuff. You know, old man working out. That was getting a workout on. I might be old, but yeah, at least I got a little bit of muscle going on. So besides that, we've got a number of videos. Besides hobby videos, we got the videos talking about how we retired overseas and our experiences here in Korea, which was really cool. So if you want to check that out, that would be appreciated. And if you subscribe and like, that would definitely help, because I would get more likes and more subscribers, and that would appease the YouTube gods. So yeah, it show some love and like and subscribe to the channel. We got that going on, and I want to say thank you to a gentleman because I started doing this buy me coffee thing. And this was the thing I've heard about it. I've seen links on it, but I never clicked on any. And then somebody said, yeah, you got to do this buy me coffee thing. And so I looked at it and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. And then there were some other YouTubers that I frequent because I didn't really know what it was. So I went back and I bought them coffee. Some YouTubers that I like their information and their instructional videos, and just, they seem like cool guys. So I bought a couple of coffees for some other people. And so I went ahead and did this whole, buy me coffee thing. And there we have is that guy right there, Fred Johnson, bought me my first coffee, which was, if I can, there we go. But yeah, the very first guy, Fred Johnson, and ended up buying me a coffee. So Fred, if you're out there watching this, you are the man. I thank you very much for the coffee. And I'm not going to get rich off of people buying me coffee, but I will say that any money that goes from buying coffee, probably go to buying coffee. If you don't know, I do coffee. I make my own lattes and stuff like that. But yeah, between that and the YouTube channel, what I'll end up doing is either buying coffee, or I'll take that money, and it's probably more likely that I'll take that money and I'll channel that into the channel that I will be able to purchase resin, kind of offset some of the costs of the things that I do in the videos that I make, the miniatures that I'm painting, and so on and so forth. As a hobby. And maybe someday I'll get my YouTube channel monetized. That would be kind of cool. So you can kind of see back there in behind me, got some LED lights, kind of get that cool YouTube looking vibe that a lot of people have. And so it's just kind of, that's what the young kids are doing. They do the LED lights and they do the backgrounds and the blurredness and things and whatever. And you can see I got my little camera set up in the back there to try to go through. And on my channel, I end up actually going through and beginning painting. So I needed a hobby besides going to the gym. And I wanted something that was a little bit more creative. And I saw some Warhammer figures. And I was like, hey, that looks kind of cool. I used to be in the military, blowing stuff up and blah, blah, blah. Used to have a bunch of guns when I was in the United States. So this is kind of living vicariously through these small little plastic figurines. So I started painting them, and the last time I painted something was like I was 12 or 13 years old. And I'm going to be 58 here pretty soon. So you can do the math. It's been a long time. And even then, my painting skills was the Army Jeep is green. The airplane or jet is gray. And, so there wasn't a lot of artistic work done in that regard. And so jumping into doing the hobbies and the painting and all that stuff, learning how to paint has been kind of cool. I liked it. And when I got into the painting of these little miniature guys, the Warhammer guys, I don't play the game, not yet anyway, probably won't. Maybe one-page rules. But then I was like, they're expensive. They are super expensive. And then over here in Korea, they're a little bit more expensive than what you pay in the United States. So with that, the interesting thing was, resin printing. So that's how I got into resin printing, and I printed my own figures and characters and busts and all of that stuff. And that's been kind of wild. And then, I'm going to continue on doing that. And I'm considering on doing a side gig where I print out miniatures for people and doing a print service. So in other words, they have the files that they purchased and they want to print out, and they would give them to me, and then I would print them out in some durable resin, and they just have some cool times. Some cool little figures, and I'm still working on pricing and things like that on how much I should charge. And just offer it to military, just offer it to, families of people who live on the military base. I don't want to, I'm not going to ship stuff from Korea to the United States, that doesn't make sense. There's too many people doing that, but just kind of a local service to military and their families. And since I'm retired military, it's I'm not going to get rich off it, but I think I like printing stuff out a lot, and I have a pile of shame, which is if you don't know what a pile of shame is, it's a number of characters or figures that you printed out that just keep getting bigger and bigger because you haven't painted, and so they're shamed because they have no paint. So yeah, I think I could do a little side gig print job for resin printing of figures and things like that, and we'll see what happens. And then the other thing it ends up would be, since I have room in the other, let me see if I can find it. Let's take a look at it here. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Really kind of interesting, kind of fun. Being retired, have lots of time, so we try to do stuff. And of course, during the summer here in Korea, by the end of the month, hopefully it'll cool down. That's the rumor. But then we can start, doing some stuff and getting out of the house more besides just going to the gym and shopping and whatever. But yeah, looking forward to doing the FDM printer thing and doing that as a side gig, as a print service. So, for terrain and features for all these little figures and wargaming and tabletop gaming and stuff like that. So I'm seriously considering that. And, my kid is into, Dungeons and Dragons. So, I'm sure she would appreciate printing out of some figures and terrain and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. And she's going to be here in Korea with us for a while too. So that's going to be really cool. She'll be stationed here. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Revamping and removing everything. I had stuff in here before and then I moved it in there. And then when it gets like 80 degrees in there, and it's like, yeah, I can't paint in there. So I brought all the brush paintwork section back here. And eventually we'll get an air conditioner there. The interesting thing is if we move and buy another apartment and get a 3-bedroom 2, I won't have 2 rooms to have 2 hobby rooms. We'll have like a spare bedroom, and then we'll have my computer room, and then we'll have the rest of the house. So yeah, the rooms will definitely be smaller. Maybe this size, maybe kind of like what we saw on, how that's going to work out with resin printing, FDM, desk, computer, the whole 9 yards, putting everything into that small space, into a small space like this. Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, very, very interesting. But wherever we end up going in a smaller apartment and we rent this place out, then yeah, that'll be probably the last place that we buy, and we'll pretty much be done with that. I won't say it's our final home because your final home is usually an old folks' home, so somewhere, or you just croak in the home that you're at, and that's your final home. So hopefully that's not the case here. We'll be able to get that 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and that's going to be in Awesome Valley. So let me see if I can pull up a map. I know I can pull up a map. So, and for people that are kind of wondering, Pyeongtaek is where we're at, and Yeah, Piontek is kind of right in here. And if we zoom in, there is Piontek, and where are we at? Piontek is kind of there and kind of there. We're over here, which is not Wanjanri, but we're in Pengsong Up, which is Anjung Sung Huan Ro. That's the name of the street. But basically, we're in this area here. And this is Camp Humphreys, which is right here. And of course, it won't show that on Google Maps and everything. But yeah, this whole whited out section, it's just not empty land. That's Camp Humphreys. And then we are, let's see, we put some layers on here and take a look at the actual. So yeah, the layers on here, you can end up seeing that this is all Camp Humphreys when you actually put the real life. So you've got a bunch of barracks, you've got the airfield, that's the airfield right there. You know, you've got some in processing, the Camp Humphreys, PX, yeah, the commissary that's down in this area here. So yeah, the commissary or PX, Texas Roadhouse. They got a middle school here, there's an elementary school here, there's a high school there. I mean, it is the largest overseas U.S. military base in the world right now. So, yeah, and they even got a little golf course there. I don't play golf. I don't know, maybe I'll try to go hit some balls, go to the driving range and do that when the weather gets cooler. But, yeah, all of this is kind of like going to be family housing, barracks, stuff like that. There's more. Where is it? Family housing towers are over here. So they do a lot of on-post housing. All of this is still Korean. So in other words, this is like a wall. But yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting. But when we back up here, so we live in this area, if I can figure out how to, we're in this area with the brownstone apartments. But with that, if we end up going to just the map, and we go over to Asan, which is right here, there is a number of apartments, and this is a newer city. So the cool thing about Asan Valley, Asan Tech Valley, or whatever they call it, it ends up that it's fairly new, and they've got a ton of apartments in here. So you got EG1 apartments, and those are the apartments that we're looking at. And there's a lot of stores, there's a lot of restaurants in this area. Definitely some, so the walkability is great. And yeah, we're kind of looking towards that area, and that's maybe 10 minutes. You'd have to drive maybe 10 minutes to get to the military base. So you end up getting here, and then you kind of go over here, and there's a gate somewhere over here. But yeah, it's about 10 minutes away from Camp Humphreys, and yeah, it's kind of an interesting little place. Definitely more up to date than the area that we're in now. But the brownstone apartment is pretty good because it's close enough to base that you could walk. Like if we walk down there, it's like maybe what, 3/4 of a mile, and then like if we walk from our place to the walkthrough gate and then back, it's like 1.25 miles. So it's not bad, but it's far enough away from the bars and the GI bars that are you can find immediate and clubs that are immediately off post, and restaurants and geared towards the GIs and stuff like that, which are some decent restaurants. Some of them are just kind of they take advantage of the U.S. military and doing burgers and food and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got our favorite places that we like to go. So I like the convenience of being close to post, living here. But if we don't want to buy another 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment here because of the layout and the way things are. It's not that the layout of the individual apartments is bad, but it's just like there's multiple apartments on a floor. So think of it this way: in where we live here, we have an elevator that comes up to our floor, and then there's our unit, the elevator, and then there's another unit. So it's almost like a semi-private elevator because there's only 2 units per floor in the place that we live now. But the 3-bedroom, small, 2-bath, smaller places, apartments, I think you have like 4 or 5 or more apartments. So you get off the elevator and you have a lot of units. And it can be really noisy with military and GIs and stuff like that. Koreans seem to be more quiet and reserved. So, going to a newer city, going and getting an apartment in a newer building that has more Koreans, and the layouts for those places has less apartments per floor than what we saw here in the brownstone. Not that brownstone is bad here, but we just really like our peace and quiet and don't like loud neighbors. And thankfully, all the neighbors that we have above, below, and next to us are not. They're not loud and they're not crazy. And military. I think there's an older U.S. gentleman who's downstairs. We got a GI and his wife and kids that live next door, and then the people that live upstairs from us. I don't know. It's kind of weird. They make some sounds, but it's not disconcerting to the point of where it keeps us up at night or whatever. But it's for the most part, it's pretty good. So anyway, that's what we got going on, and we're hoping in the next maybe the next year and a half, that we should be able to buy that apartment. We could probably get real damn close to buying it, but we would tap out everything, all the money that we've saved. We wouldn't have any money in savings, and yeah, we could get it and we could move, but then we'd have to start our emergency savings account all over again, and starting from zero just doesn't give us warm fuzzies. So yeah, it's gonna take a little while, and then yeah, so that's what we got going on. The other thing we're talking about doing, since we're just rambling on, is going to the Philippines this winter. So for those of you who don't know, we spent a year on Oahu. And it's not that we're rich. People are like, oh, you spent a year on Oahu? Oh, you must be rich, because housing is insane on Oahu. And there's no way we could afford it. When you're looking at prices and rents and stuff like that, there's no way we could afford it. The only way we could afford it is because our daughter invited us there and said, hey, she was doing her hospital residency stuff, and so she was basically living at the hospital. So she invited us and said, hey, why don't you stay here and you could be able to vacation, spend some time in Hawaii before you go to Korea. And so we took her up on that like nobody's business. She got free laundry and home cooked meals, and we got, housing. So it worked out really well. But yeah, so the Philippines, I think, is going to be our replacement for Hawaii, and it's not as expensive as Hawaii, that's for sure. The other thing is, there's so many different options in the Philippines. And I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go to, we'll spend time in a city, which maybe Manila, maybe Makati or Cebu or something like that. We fly in and we'll stay in the city and kind of see what the city life is like. And then we'll go to a beach area, a coastal beach area, and try that, do the little beach vacation thing. And then the other thing we'll end up doing is going to a mountain area like Baguio, where the higher altitudes and the lower temperatures, that would be great. And get away from the harsh, cruel winters of Korea, because Korea gets pretty downright cold. So yeah, that's what we're looking at doing. And then we might even get our retirement visa for the Philippines as well, as a backup plan. Not that I don't foresee us living in the Philippines as saying, hey, we're just going to leave Korea and go to the Philippines. But if something happens here in Korea and, hostilities break out or, some weird thing happens, at least we would have a retirement visa already approved from the Philippines. So if something bad does happen, and you'll have a bunch of people leaving Korea, going to Japan or going back to the United States, or you'll have other people that are going to be going to the Philippines. I don't want to be one of those people going to the Philippines and Philippines is being overwhelmed and say, okay, that's it, you're cut off, you get a tourist visa and that's it, or they just don't let you in the country. But if we already have a retirement visa and it's already approved, then that would be a nice thing to have in an emergency. We could go back to the United States, but I don't think I ever want to go back to the U.S., to be honest with you. It's just not, overseas retirement is just so much better for us. It's the way it is. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got going on. So we did a little revamp of, the hobby room there, put all the paint station, as you can see there. I've got the monitor up there so I can watch videos or music or whatever. I use it as a monitor for the camera, but I think it turned out pretty good. It's going to be good. And then the all that storage back there, all those little storage cubbies and stuff like that, that's where I'm going to put more of my minis and my paintings and kind of display them and try to get organized. Like I said, throw away. I got a bunch of boxes that I've been holding on since we've been here. Those are going to go away tonight. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. So anyway, yeah, just for the rambling and going on and retiring overseas, doing some reorganizing of the hobby rooms and all that stuff. And I just want to say thanks to Fred for buying me a coffee. I appreciate that. And just kind of enjoying it. So anyway, right now it's 9:24 p.m. So it's getting close to bedtime since I'm old. Yes, I'm old. So got to hit the hay, while the hay is still being able to be hit. And then I'll be up again 4:30, 5 o'clock every single morning without fail. It's like clockwork. And it's not because, some people are like, oh, well, you were in the military, so you can just wake up at the drop of a hat. You can set your own internal clock, which I could do. But the reason I get up nowadays is the fact that I have chronic pain. And I can only lay down for so long, and then being in that position, whether I'm on my back or my side or whatever, pain just pops up and says, yeah, hello, we're your alarm clock. And so, yeah, like clockwork, I end up getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning. I have to stretch and creak and move and, kind of walk around the apartment and stuff, and then I'll make my lattes and start my day. So, yeah. So that's what we got going on. Thanks for watching, and we'll be doing some more videos. Definitely check out the YouTube channel. I would appreciate that. If you're into minis, into resin printing, 3D printing type stuff, going to get into FDM printing, which, well, that's a whole nother video. We won't even get into that. But yeah, if you feel inclined to check out the channel, I got some different videos on overseas retirement, things to consider, our experiences of banking and driver's licenses, how do you get that, our visas, how do we get our visas for here in Korea, and a number of other things, along with the 3D resin printing, painting stuff, and some fitness stuff as well. Feel free to check that out. And again, if you're so inclined to buy me a coffee, you can do that, and that'll be in the description box down below as well. So with that being said, I think I'm done. And like I said, it's time to get ready for bed. And wherever you are in the United States, it's not bedtime there. And today is what, Monday? Today's Monday here, so it's Sunday there in the United States if you're watching. Pretty sure. And it's probably morning-ish, maybe. I don't know. Tell me what time it is when you're watching this. The day and the time and where you're at in the States or wherever you're watching. And I'd like to kind of know the few people that do watch where y'all are from. That'd be kind of cool. Alrighty. So with that being said, thank you, much ado, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.